Now it's time for you, the public, to make the questions. We collected a couple of questions from the audience, and now it's time to have your turn to ask the candidates. And the first question that we have here from one of you over there is, can you explain how your life experiences help you relate to District 7 voters, and how these experiences will guide your policies and positions? And we'll start with Mr. Muller.
Well, I was born and reared in this district. I'm the product of an African-American family, the pioneering that's been in this city and has helped shape civil rights. I'm also the son of a Mexican-American woman and a family that has been here longer than anyone else at this table. I understand the district, and I know what it's going to take. Our challenges, whether you have citizenship or not, when we pass comprehensive immigration reform, is to deliver jobs to people. The people of this district need jobs. We need to rebuild our middle class. You need a congressman that is going to push for large federal projects and bring home these projects to Arizona, but not just leave the work done there. We've had a congressman for over 2 decades that has done that, and it hasn't resulted in economic benefits for our district. You need a congressman that will bring the contracts home and challenge the contractors to hire people from this community to work on those projects. You need a congressman that will fight for economic justice and a congressman that will fight for equality. I've dedicated my entire life to championing civil rights causes for African Americans, for poor working white families, and for immigrants. Long before anyone at this table, with the exception, I think, of my colleague Mary Rose Wilcox, we hit the streets early in the fight. We never shrunk back from championing comprehensive immigration reform and full equality and citizenship for those that reside in the shadows. No longer will you live in the margins. No longer will you be second-class citizens. Economic justice, jobs, and opportunity is what our district desperately needs.
Mr. Peñalosa.
Thank you very much. I believe that my life experiences have really reflected upon the work that I've done in this community. My parents, my father's an immigrant from Mexico. My grandparents, 3 of them, also immigrants from Mexico. And I understand the struggles that you and your family perhaps tonight are going through, because we went through those also. And fortunately, they gave me the opportunity to be successful and to take advantage of those opportunities. And along with one of those benefits, my father served the United States Marine Corps. We lived in many states here in this great nation, and having lived with other people of different races, different backgrounds, and different languages. And that has affected my life, to be able to be acceptable to people here in this community. I'd like the young people to look at me as an example, as your big brother, as your uncle, to say, Jose went through community college just like I'm going right now. He also worked. He was fortunate to transfer to UCLA, where he worked and made it through working in the cafeteria. Fortunately, to come here to Arizona to go to law school and get scholarship and also work in the community. And since 1986, I've been in this community working in immigration law in the streets, helping people realize the American dream, the same dream that my abuelos and my parents gave to me. And I continue doing that work here in Arizona with United Farm Workers, at events, at citizenships events. On the radio, I talk to people. At Friendly House, I served there as the attorney for 2.5 years. I'm on the board of directors there. I've worked with other groups here in town, and right now my focus is with the kids with the Arizona Dream Act Coalition, working with them, supporting their dreams, supporting their family members. They know my heart. They know what I've done.
Mary Rose Wilcox.
Yes, thank you. I've been very fortunate in my life. For the last 30 years, I've served this community as a Phoenix City Councilwoman and as a County Board of Supervisor member. I have served the community, and I have known what the community wants. I go out, I have talked to them. I know that they want a safe, secure environment. They want jobs, and I have provided those for years. I built the Diamondback Stadium with my fellow colleagues, and we built it to bring economic development. We got 1,700 jobs for good union workers, skilled workers, and I leveraged my vote so that we could also have minority and women businesses who were the suppliers. You all know, you're the chamber, that we need the doors open for us. I opened those doors. My fellow colleagues and I built that. I suffered. I was shot because of it. So I am a victim of gun violence. I learned through that I must stand up to the NRA. I must stand up and say this proliferation of guns has to stop. I also have been very involved in economic development, and when Sheriff Arpaio reared his ugly head and went after our community with racial profiling, I was one of the few elected officials, perhaps the only one, who stood up and said, no, Joe, you are not going to do this to our community. And I suffered. I was indicted. I cleared my name. And now Joe Arpaio has a federal monitor over him, and Andy Thomas, who joined him, is disbarred from being a lawyer. So I know what it is to be tough, to represent our community, and they have elected me 11 times. I can deliver.
Randy Camacho.
I grew up working in the onion fields to help my family make ends meet. I also grew up sleeping in an onion hauling truck in my Little League uniform when my brother would pick me up. The other thing, too, is my brothers, I have three, they gave me a kaleidoscope from which to view the world. Reuben the giver, my oldest brother, taught me the importance of giving, so much that he served in the military. My brother Ray was the partier, so he taught me how to get along with people. And my brother Ricky the angry, I call him, was angry because he didn't like the conditions of how we were growing up. He wanted to better himself, so he saw the importance of education, so he instilled that in me as well. The other thing I want to say is that my dad one time said to me, Randy, you know what I like about you? And I said, no, Dad, what's that? He says, you know, you always find a way around things or through things, but you're always finding solutions to things. And I really appreciate that about you. I hope that you will see that ARIA is an example of this. This is a solution for our state to act upon. And I will lead, not wait, for change to happen in Washington, D.C. We can make change happen here. As your congressman, I will transform the office of Congress to make it a coordinating force for state, local, and federal government to produce holistic policies regarding education, immigration, and economic development.
Thank you. Like many people in this district, I am the son of immigrants. My mom is from Colombia, my dad is from Mexico, and I actually lived in Chihuahua, Mexico for a little while. As a matter of fact, English was not my first language. I had to learn English and the hard way. Unfortunately, you know, we found ourselves growing up poor. I was on the free lunch program all the way until I got to college, and even in college, it's when I actually had my first bed that I could call my own. But because I was in college, like many people in this district, I used Pell Grants, student loans, subsidized loans, work-study, and worked a series of jobs to make sure that I paid for my college education. During that, I actually also joined the United States Marine Corps, something that there was a lot of Marines in this district, a lot of veterans in the district, and served one of the hardest combat tours of the Iraq War, something that there's a lot of men and women have also seen. And then returned to a VA that was not ready for us. That's my VA. I belong to the Emerald Clinic. It took me a year and a half to get my knee redone. I understand these things. I meet veterans that also have the same problems as I do. And that's why when I was at the State House, I fought for these kinds of issues. The first bill I passed was a bill to increase in-state tuition for veterans, to bring in-state tuition for veterans. That's why I fought for Medicaid expansion, to make sure that the poor have access to health insurance. And that's why I fought off all these anti-immigrant bills that were being pushed at the State House. And that's why when I go to Congress, I'm going to continue to fight for those working-class families, making sure they have the same opportunity I had growing up. Thank you.